In this video, we're going to see 11th experiment, that is web form design using ASP.NET. So we're going to design a basic registration form. Uh, so there are going to be 3 pages. The first thing is first.aspx, and so this is the page that has been already loaded here. This is the first.aspx. So this is the main body of the page, which has uh, registration form in the header tag, in the h1 tag heading, and we have something called navigation bar. So we have defined all the css in another file called styles.css, and we have given a class name called navbar to the class to this development. And in that we have used an unordered list UL tag to just define navigation bar. So the first thing in the navigation bar is add, uh, which is a default page that gets loaded while you just run this project. And the second page is for the delete, and the third one is for the view. So when you click on those buttons, will be redirected to second.aspx and webform1.aspx. Webform1.aspx is to display the database in a data grid, and all those links have been added into a navigation bar using the unordered list tag. That's it. Now we have several labels below, that is name, id, salary, experience, and company. So uh, we have used this asp components called label, and we have given an id. So the run at server works as the method of transmitting the data, that is run at server, and text is nothing but the label, text for the label. Fine. So we have used the text box element of the asp uh, ASP element, and that is displayed as a text box just beside the name. And similarly, we have defined all the other labels and text boxes, and that's it. At last, we have defined a button. So this is not a normal HTML kind of button. So we have used ASP colon button, and ID for that button is button1, and that's it. Now we have something called some function called button1 underscore click. So which you will be seeing in the backend in this .cs files. So we have some event called on click. So once we click the button, we'll be redirected to button1 underscore. So we'll see the delete page, that is second page, second.aspx. Now the same thing when you come to the body here. So we have the same navigation bar again, and once you press this delete, so we'll be having only one label and with one text box, and that just takes another button called delete. So we have something called a function called name to underscore click. So once you click this button, we'll be redirected to that function. That's about the second page. Now coming to the third one, webform1.aspx, which is just to display the database, the data in the database. So this again has the same syntax as the master page, registration form, and these are the links for the navigation bar. So we have something called grid. So we'll be having something called grid that just displays the details of the employees from the database. So to retrieve the data from the database, uh, we've used ASP component bound field. So this is the data field name and the header text. So these are the columns from the database that directly come from the database. We'll be printing those things into the data grid view. Fine. So uh, this is the main data grid view component that has been enclosed here. That's it. Now that's it. Will be this. The things we have seen is the front end about the registration form, and now we come into the backend. We'll be just seeing the on click button1 underscore click function. So just explain this. So this is the once the page gets loaded, so we have to open the connection to the database. So we define a string with 3 parameters. The first one happens to be the server name, and second one is the database name, and third one is the authentication parameter, that is integrated security. And we're passing the string to the SQL connection class that comes from the SQL data.SQL client namespace. And once you call the open method, you'll be having a connection with the database open. And here we have button1 underscore click function. Fine. So that's it. Now using the SQL command class, we'll be writing some queries to fetch the data from the database, or or to insert into the database. So here goes the command, the query along with the connection object. So this takes two parameters as query and the connection object, and that's it. Now for this query, this is not completed yet, so these variables have to be added, taken from the text boxes, right? So that's it. Now using the parameters dot add, and we have to specify the variable here, the type SQL dvd type dot varchar. This column takes varchar values, and the length, this is the length, and this is the column name. And using dot value property, we are assigning the uh, text from the text box using the text property of the text box. Fine. So similarly we have done for all the variables here, and using this execute non query, we have executed the query, and that's it. Once you execute the query, we'll be setting back the text boxes to their default values, and we'll be closing the connection. So this is all about the add add functionality of the registration form. Now coming to the delete functionality, everything will be same. It will be just changing the query. So here we can see delete from the table name where ID. So we'll be deleting the employees from the table based on their ID. This is the thing, and we have passed a connection object as well. So that's it. We are updating the query with the value that is given in the text box. Fine. So after that, we are executing the query using the execute non-query method. So since the insert and delete don't return any uh, rows, right? So we'll be using this execute non-query. Fine. So once you execute this query, the text box will be set to the default value, that is empty, and that's about the delete page. Coming to the retrieving the data from the database. So this is the thing. So using this explicit syntax like this, what happens is like when the connection gets interrupted by any means, so in that case the connection will be closed automatically, uh, without having to without having the button of closing that manually. So that's it. Now using the SQL data adapter, we'll be fetching the data from the database, storing it in a temporary data set called data table here. So this is the temporary data set. Fine. uh, that's it. So SQL data adapter takes two parameters. The first one is select query. So we need to select the data from the database. This is the table name. Fine. And this is the connection object, and we have to store that data into the data table. So da dot fill of this, we have to give the parameter where the data has been filled. So the object is dt. Fine. So we have something called data grid view dgv1, and that's it. We are updating the source source data source parameter of that one with the data table. So the data grid view actually shows the data, and we have something called data bind. So in order to display data from the data set into the data grid view, we will use the data bind method. So which using which will be able to view the data uh, each time we click the view button. So now we will run this first page and check for the output. And this is the output of the program. This is still loading. Yes, so now you can see, let me insert something. So ID and 123 salary, experience, no, nil, company. Now when I click add, so the record has been added. Now if I have to view that record, I'll just click view. Let me add the record once again. Experience, I think I must leave that in integer. Yeah, now you can see the record has been inserted. That's it. Now we'll add another record. Salaries, experience, 1 year, company. Now I have again inserted. Now if you view the table, so it's a data set. Now it's a table. Now if you delete based on an ID, we'll give 1 2 3. three. Now, if you just view the table, now you can see there is only one report. So that's how we have designed a registration form using ASP.NET. Uh, I hope all the outputs are correct, and thanks for watching.